Chapter 8. Just as quickly as Lasoni had been thrust into a new world, she was about to be extracted. Inside the blue haze, her arm had been released from the strange phantom hold upon it. Perhaps she would have time to... No. Again she was mistaken, because a few moments later, a warm, swirling torrent filled the space where her stomach would have been. Was she about to explode from the inside like a wineskin left in the sun too long? That concern was erased with a rush of energy shared by her physical and spiritual bodies. As the herbs bulldozed through her system, they overpowered the charcoal and the lingering toxins from the bark. Before she had time to contemplate any of this, Lasoni felt two hands cupping her head from behind. She recognized those gentle, well-worn fingers, those healing palms. Runine! Lasoni thought as she raised her transparent hands to put over Runine's. But Lasoni was already falling backward, being guided away from the monsters and strange sights by the familiar touch of her friend. Ripped away from the comforting blue light, Lasoni was cast again into the universal expanse. She stumbled end over end in the blackness, stars whizzing by. They were close enough to touch if she could just stretch. Lasoni was suddenly re-embodied and reanimated simultaneously. Finding herself in mid-run, she hurtled straight for the quickly retreating pack of terrified shamans. Skidding to a wobbly halt, Lasoni gasped if she had nearly drowned, her lungs burning and senses heightened to painful levels. Was she really back, or was this a dream within a dream within a... Bind them both! They must be offered to the gods, a voice shouted from the back. No, this was undoubtedly her old shitty reality. But despite the lone call to action, no one advanced. Infused with the same raw power that Runine held, Lasoni ran the couple steps back to her friend, just as Runine started to shout something. But Lasoni had been rushed through time again, the moment erased forever. The next thing she remembered was being pushed through the animal skin curtain and out of that terrible temple. The sunlight was beautiful, but it burnt Lasoni's eyes fiercely. A dead guard lay crumpled in a pool of brackish liquid on either side. Everyone she made eye contact with seemed furious with her and Runine, but that confused Lasoni. Hadn't she earned their accolades instead of disdain? She had lived through and passed their ultimate test. Didn't she deserve the same respect as the long-leg healers back inside the dank, dark temple? The uproar rippling through the camp said otherwise. Her mother burst from the crowd but pulled up short. The other spears gathered around, unsure how to proceed. "Mama, it's me, Lasoni. Do I have spit up on my chin?" she asked, wiping out a reflex. She did, but that wasn't why her mother stared cautiously at what might be her kin. "No, you are no longer Lasoni, my daughter. They say you are a navigator, a spear navigator. Do you claim this title?" Lasoni let out a hearty laugh, one she would have never uttered in public before. But now it felt powerful, and now she neither expected nor received a smack from her elders. Instead, they took a step back. "Mama, do not be silly. I took the herbs, yes, but I am the same." Her mother's hand went up to stop her advances for affection. The message was clear. Do not touch me. "No." What? Why, Mama?" Murmurs from her tribe confirmed the general evaluation. Supposing they wanted to keep in the superstitious good graces of the Longlegs and maintain the status quo. In that case, this dubious anomaly must be resolved. Lasoni spun in panicked confusion as Runine watched the crowd for any moves against them. One thing was clear to Runine, even though Lasoni would not see it in time. The spears would no longer allow Lasoni to live amongst them peacefully. Officially or not, eventually they would end her, and the Longlegs would never let Lasoni leave that hill with their secrets, especially the details of the Black Seed. You act for the whole tribe now, daughter. Suffer for the whole tribe now, her mother said, resolution on her slacked face. She took off the human bone and shell necklace representing their family line, holding it up for the crowd to witness. That simple talisman was the most precious object a spear had, ensuring fertility, good luck, and success. A handing down ceremony was usually only performed right before or after the death of an elder. Lasoni was shocked when her mother tossed it to her. "No!" Lasoni shrieked, catching it only because to let it touch the ground was taboo. But with that catch, the tradition was finalized, sealed, and time-stamped in the tribe's memory. The question was simple now. Which one of the troublemakers was about to die? The necklace demanded it. As Lasoni clutched the relic, polished smooth by the skin of countless ancestors marching countless pointless miles, confused tears ran down her cheeks. The crone appeared and shoved a backpack into Lasoni's chest. Whether you were a warrior, craftsman, or medicine keeper, the law of banishment was still the law, despite the ire of the bloodthirsty crowd. Every exile left with food, water, and tools of the trade. It was a symbolic gesture, really, as most would die within days. On their own, without hunters, healers, or fences, the wild earth and its creatures always won. Her pack was heavy, never come back heavy. Practically bursting at the seams, it was crammed full of the daily staples of any long-legged navigator. Water, mammoth jerky, dried berries, honey, a fire kit, medicinal herbs, and most critically, a small supply of the sacred plants. As Lasoni put it on and fought to keep upright, Runine leaned in, close to her ear. "Last night, I put all in here," she whispered, producing her medicine pouch from behind the loincloth. Hugging Lasoni, she slipped it into the pack. "I did not know why then, but I see in the sunlight. Plants you need, you grow now, seeds, Lasoni. You forage like I taught. And when you back from far away, when they ran scared, I sneak the black seed. All in there, all yours," Runine said, impossibly happy smile on her doomed face. "No, we can escape together," Lasoni begged, trying to stay sane as the herbs inside her magnified the crowd's hostility, ramping up her panic and paranoia. "Shh, go now. Teach, love," Runine instructed, urgently trying to get Lasoni off the temple mound in one piece. "All right, it is time. Only one of you. Leave and leave quickly," the spirit chief said in a brisk, worried tone, getting an acquiescing nod from the leader of the Longlegs. "I can't abandon you here," Lasoni pleaded between stuttering sobs. "Oh, little bird," Runine said, cupping Lasoni's face in her shaky hands. "I already gone, but always with you, and I always find you. Remember me, think of me, Lasoni, and I be there. Already gone. Now you go. Go please," Runine said, her voice cracking, emotions choking the last word. The chief of the Longlegs silenced his people with a barked command. The spear chief put up a meaty hand, his people falling reasonably silent. He needed Lasoni away from the temple immediately, running, walking, limping, or crawling, just putting distance between her and the mob. And then he could smooth over relations with the Longlegs. The chief, shamans, and warriors would all expect to be plied with inebriation and warm bodies, possibly a few spears for chattel. No matter the cost. It will be paid. Must be paid for the future of the tribe. Runine knew all this, so she reluctantly pulled away. Turning Lasoni north, Runine gave her backpack a healthy push. "You no look, Lasoni. Go. Go to the water, little bird. The water," As Lasoni passed through the mob, the crone gave her a wink, cackle, and a parting smack on the ass, making Lasoni bolt as fast as she could under the weight. She fought to respect Runine's last request and not look back, or run back to Runine and hug her best friend, punishment be damned. But something in the herbs warned her of the danger in that sweet image. That same something told her to just survive the night. The long leg and spears hurtled curses, insults, threats, and food scraps as she walked by. Lasoni felt so exhausted, so sad she could barely walk, her leather sole scraping on the dirt and gravel as she shuffled along. Soon the yells and hoots from the temple mound faded, only to be replaced by the scratching and creaking of Lasoni's pack and her deep sobs. No one followed her. It was over. She could never return, not to her mother, tribe, or her only friend. With the sunset as her bearing, she stumbled on towards the north and the lands utterly unknown to her. Far off, but too close to discount, various roars, growls, and scamperings hounded Lasoni's ears and imagination. Creatures that lived between dusk and the blackness of night were roused and running around, many of which could kill a lone spear hunter, never mind a girl weighed down as she was. With the last of the sun over her left shoulder, she watched the crisscrossing shadows of carrion feeders through her bleary, dusty eyes. She had no tears left, even for her own impending death. The familiar smell of ionized air and the flowers that came with spring accosted her as the wind kicked up. Suddenly, the scene made Lasoni's stomach cramp from a sickening sense of déjà vu. This cannot be. My dream from last night, but made real today. How? I don't understand. Mama, how could you send me away? Runine, Her pleas were drowned out by a thunderclap as lightning leapt from the dark sky. Silenced and defeated, she simply kept moving, a roiling wall of gray and black storm clouds racing towards her.